Okay, hello. Happy New Year. Welcome to We Are Cosmic Nature, the podcast. My name is Kelsey, and this is the official second episode, which I'm actually recording on the 2nd of January. I'll get an intro song solidified soon, but really what's important is the information of this podcast, not so much the logistics and trying to make it super perfect, as I mentioned in the first episode. So, this week we have a full moon in Cancer, and that's the focus of this episode. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet and really just make sure that I get the message to you that you are meant to hear for this full moon in Cancer. Really exciting thing is that this is the first full moon of 2023. And if you are listening to this episode before January 8th or before the weekend, I'm going to be going live on Instagram, and I'm going to talk about the energy of 2023, the cosmic energy, the numerology, even from the Chinese zodiac. Like, I was really pulling a lot of parallels and themes. So if you're around on the weekend, right now it's scheduled for 8 a.m. EST on the 8th, but I might switch it to the 7th. We will see. I'll keep you posted, but come find me on Instagram, and if not, I'm going to record it and share it. Maybe I'll even turn it into a podcast and put it right on here so you can listen to it. So you have a little bit of an energy report for the year ahead. It's kind of nice to know, and something that I like to share too, which I'm sure I'll share again when I go live, is that it's not that the energy is so concrete and it's going to be, this exact way, because really it's your relationship to the energy that we're experiencing. Sorry, I had a bird come out the window. So really, coming back to yourself and your personal power is important when navigating different energies. I've said this before, but when it's raining outside, maybe you want to grab an umbrella so you don't get wet. We just prepare ourselves a little bit, and it's kind of similar when it comes to cosmic energy. It's just nice to know a little bit about the forecast so that you're prepared. Okay, so let's go into this full moon energy. I'm really excited about this full moon. I was looking at the chart, sort of picking up on some things, and then I often pull from the tarot as well. I use a card called Soul Cards Tarot, and it's a beautiful deck. It's my first tarot deck, and I find that the message that comes through with the card that I pull always helps to really just take the information of the chart a little bit further. So the full moon is happening on January 6th, and it's at 16 degrees of Cancer. So that means that the sun is at 16 degrees of Capricorn. And okay, so the other thing that's so interesting about this full moon is that I believe there are 6 full moons in a row at 16 degrees, and there are 5 new moons in a row at 1 degree. And that's actually quite rare, because the lunar cycle has a 28-day cycle, and or 27 and a half, whatever it is. And it doesn't always line up that it's at the exact same degree of the constellation. And by degree, that just means the angle from where we're at on Earth. And there's 12 zodiac signs, and we sort of measure our relationship to these constellations. And anyways, the founders of astrology, which is just ancients from actually all over the world, ancient Egypt, even in the Mayan lineage, like it's been channeled by many different people thousands and thousands of years ago, but nonetheless, there's 29 degrees to every sign. So it's not always at the same sort of spot within each constellation at every new and full moon. Now, the significance of every new moon being at 1 degree is giving us new beginnings, new beginnings, new beginnings. And then the significance of these full moons being at 16 degrees is the 16th card in the tarot I'm not as familiar with tarot, though I do use it. I've used it in readings, but I haven't gone into the deep teachings of it. But I have read that it is the Tower card, and the Tower really represents like death of the old. And so we're welcoming. So each full moon is really helping us to like sort of shed old and then move into these new moons at 1 degree with feist and fire. Okay, so full moon in Cancer. Oh, so much good stuff. So the thing that I noticed first is that the moon is making a sextile to Uranus, and the sun is making a trine to Uranus. And Uranus is the planet of awakening and change and sort of sudden realizations. So I think that there's clarity coming. I think some of us are waiting for sort of this clear moment of what direction do we want to head, for the new year. Um, in astrology, the new year actually begins in March at the Aries equinox. Um, but on Earth, we kind of follow this Gregorian calendar. I kind of see the new moon as the Capricorn solstice in December. That kind of sort of, you start bridging into that sort of New Year energy. But nonetheless, welcome to 2023. That holds a different frequency in numerology as well. So it's significant. Now, so I think there's some of us that are sort of seeking some clarity on some things. What direction do we want to go? What do we want to close out? And I think we're feeling like there's sort of this breakthrough, this leap that we want to do or make, or a change that we want to welcome in or participate in, but we're not really sure what direction to go. Now, part of that, I think, is because we have Mercury in retrograde, and at the time of this full moon, the sun is conjunct Mercury, which means that the sun and Mercury are together in Capricorn. Mercury went retrograde conjunct Pluto in the final degrees of Capricorn. So what all this means is that, so Mercury rules our mind, our cognition, our thoughts, and sort of our mental clarity. The moon is our internal world. It's how we want to feel safe and secure. And especially when it's in Cancer, we want to make this change, but we want to feel safe doing it. We want to feel comfortable and sure and secure within ourselves. Cancer is a very nurturing sign. It's the archetype of, well, the crab, but you can say it's sort of this motherly energy. It's like protective, caring, and the moon, it likes being Cancer. It's sort of accentuating that lunar energy. So emotions might come up at this time when we're sort of facing maybe some of these fears and doubts in terms of our minds, because really our thoughts carry charge. Mercury is about the mind. So you want to pay attention to your thoughts at this time. And the full moon might be illuminating where you're feeling and thinking in opposition to this breakthrough energy that you want to move into. And it doesn't even have to be breakthrough, but maybe you're ready for a new step, a new chapter. You want to start acting or manifesting or creating or moving towards the things that are really important to you, the things that you value. And it might be a new direction. So the other thing is Venus is also in Aquarius at this time. Venus is what we value. And in Aquarius, this is about new energy. And I think we're really like starting to feel that sort of new year. Like I've received, just maybe you're in reflection on 2022 and you're like, I want to start creating, start stepping into my purpose and all these wonderful things. So but I think Mercury retrograde might be kind of confusing us a little bit, and we're just sort of experiencing those thoughts or habits of thought that maybe make you feel a little bit powerless. And the reason I say powerless is because Pluto, when Mercury went retrograde, it went retrograde conjunct Pluto. Pluto is about power. And in the sign of Capricorn, this is really about building and commitments and discipline and like really putting yourself out there. It's very purpose driven. And so I think with Mercury retrograde being what feels like a huge factor in this, it's like it went retrograde And it's really just pulling back the layers within ourselves that make us feel powerless, possibly to it could be even external structures or external things that feel like they're of power over us. So whether that's something in a relationship or a job or like government or whatever sort of feels like an authority outside of you, Mercury is sort of get pulling us back and being like, remember that the power is on the inside. So retrograde is about going in. So I feel like this full moon is possibly bringing up some emotions or some realizations of where we are giving our power away or what sort of thoughts and feelings are holding us back. And when it comes to the surface, it's just so that we are aware of it, and you can be aware of it and then choose to move in a different direction if you want to. You don't have to. You can sort of stay in your comfort zone because like that's where the moon being in Cancer really is about. Yeah, what's feels safe and comfy, but can you create your own sense of safety? So um, what are some things that we can sort of reflect on or even tangible takeaways that we can do at this time? Well, I would definitely be thinking about all the things I just mentioned, doing some journaling and, some questions that I like to ask myself too are what would my highest self say to me? And maybe that's cliche, but it's really true because then um, the answers you receive are often the answers you need to hear, but you're just like afraid to hear them. Um, and I think the more we can really give ourselves a reset when we need it. So the retrograde energy is about slowing down and just simple self-care practices. I think I say this a lot on a lot of lives and videos. It really is like well-being and having a practice of well-being, mind, body, soul level are always the tools that just feel true to me and helpful to me. So even if you wanted to take on that lunar energy and that Cancerian energy where the moon is right now, say if you don't want to say my highest self, what would you do if your child was, wanting to maybe do something that was a little out of their comfort zone or yeah, step through their own personal limitations. You'd probably encourage them and maybe give them a little TLC. Maybe you wouldn't say, oh no, jump off the cliff and just go for it. Maybe you would, whatever your style is, but you'd also probably just give them a nice hug. Like even the practice of like hugging yourself, like legitimately giving yourself a squeeze, can help reset your nervous system. Massage, even if it's self massage, um, and some breath work techniques like alternate nostril breathing, or even there's one that's like you take your thumb and you close your right nostril and just breathe through the left slowly. That is actually also very helpful for resetting the nervous system. And I'm bringing the nervous system into the conversation because that a grounded nervous system, a regulated nervous system is how we will feel safe and comfortable. And it doesn't always have to be, 100% comfortable, but at least not totally anxiety provoking. If there's any sort of changes and lettings go that you want to step into at this time. Because a full moon really is about illumination and letting go. So, and also just the aspects that the moon and the sun are making to Uranus, which is about electricity. So I also see that as our connection to our nervous system as well. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about this full moon. I'm not gonna lie. I think it's gorgeous, and I'm already receiving my own personal messages from it at this time. And if you want to know specifically what area of your life this full moon is affecting, because if you haven't watched any of my videos or done any sort of astrology looking into for yourself, I'll link below. I just recorded a how to read your birth chart free workshop. If you like to study a little bit for yourself, that will show you how you can, yeah, look up your birth chart, because your birth chart is going to show you what area of life this is affecting. So if you do have your birth chart open, look to 16 degrees of Cancer and find out what house that's in, because each of the 12 houses represent a different area of your life. So there's, there's home and family, and there's finances, and there's career and all that stuff. So 16 degrees of Cancer is going to be where a lot of this sort of information, maybe clarity, maybe uncertainty, is showing up for you. And I just, I always laugh because like there's things that I'm feeling and thinking and sort of pondering in my own life. And then I'm like, oh yeah, there's that full moon happening right in that spot that I'm all over right now. So it's pretty accurate, spot on every single time. So 16 degrees of Cancer, and find out what house that's in. And yeah, somewhere linked close to this video, I also have my essential astrology guide, so that will help to break down what each house is. If you want to take it a step further, you can also look at what aspects this moon makes to your personal planets and what houses those are in. So it really can go deep. And alternatively, you can always book a session with me. I call them one-to-one soul sessions. So we can go over your chart together and you can ask me all the questions. Because honestly, I think we all need to know ourselves on a soul level, especially whether or not it's astrology, but just some way for our cognitive mind to grasp it. Because, you know, it's been a very logical, I'd say, yeah, mental oriented society for a long time, and we're really sort of tapping back into our intuition and the depths of our being. It's a little bit more elusive, but it's nice to know. It's really nice to know, because it helps you, once you sort of understand yourself, it helps you to like just have a little patience with yourself and stop trying to fit into a mold that just doesn't fit you, right? So let's just be our authentic selves. That's what this age of Aquarius is all about. It's been talked about for years and years, and we're totally getting into it, especially when Pluto moves into Aquarius in March. And that is about embracing your individual self. And I want more of that for all of us because it is so liberating. Okay, so happy full moon. Send me a message or a comment. Let me know if you have any questions. This is such an exciting full moon. So we will touch base at the new moon, and maybe even a bit before that, because I have so many ideas and topics and things to share with you. So sending you many blessings, and we will see you soon.